Whiting in Seoul. We begin at the nation's top office. President Park Geun-hye held a summit with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte in Seoul earlier today, marking 55 years of diplomatic ties between South Korea and the Netherlands. The two leaders agreed to step up practical economic cooperation in fields ranging from trade and investment to future growth engines like bioindustries and big data. They also signed 5 MOUs. The two leaders also discussed ways to reinforce cooperation on countering North Korea. At the National Assembly, day 2 of the parliamentary audit was in disarray as lawmakers from the ruling Saenuri Party continued to boycott most of the sessions. The Saenuri Party has also introduced a formal parliamentary resolution calling on Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun to resign for allegedly abandoning his neutrality with remarks he made last week. The head of the Saenuri Party, Lee Jung-hyun, has vowed to continue his hunger strike for a second day unless Speaker Chung steps down. An audio recording from last week's parliamentary session appeared to have Chung suggesting the ruling party make a deal in exchange for the opposition withdrawing its motion to sack the agriculture minister. The issue escalated over the weekend after President Park Geun-hye vetoed that motion. In one of the most anticipated television events of the year, U.S. presidential candidates Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton faced off in their first debate Monday night. It was feisty and at times quite personal. For a recap, here is Hwang Ho-jun.
Hillary Clinton appears to have prevailed in the candidates' first clash. After an intense 90-minute debate moderated by NBC anchor Lester Holt, a CNN ORC poll of debate watchers showed they felt Clinton won, 62 to 27%. Analysts have generally contrasted Trump's lack of substantive responses and defensiveness with Clinton's composure and ability to parrying Trump's personal jabs, interruptions, and falsehoods. For example, in a section on U.S. policy toward North Korea, Trump continued to argue that America's allies, including South Korea, are not paying their fair share for defense.
Just to go down the list, we defend Japan, we defend Germany, we defend South Korea, we defend Saudi Arabia, we defend countries. They do not pay us what they should be paying us because we are providing tremendous service and we're losing a fortune.
According to the Korean government, Seoul paid more than $850 million in 2014 to have the U.S. military in the country, which is around 40% of the total cost. However, when direct or indirect support, including tax benefits, are taken into account, the actual cost covered by South Korea is much greater, up to 70%. Clinton, on the other hand, stressed the importance of cooperation between the U.S. and its allies.
Words matter when you run for president, and they really matter when you are president. And I want to reassure our allies in Japan and South Korea and elsewhere that we have mutual defense treaties and we will honor them.
There were also some very heated moments on issues that have been contentious throughout the campaign. At one point, Clinton demanded that Trump release his tax returns, and he shot back by saying he would, as long as she releases her deleted emails, a reference to the email scandal that tainted Clinton's reputation. The last question was about whether the candidates would accept the outcome of the election. Clinton said she will, but asked for voter support, saying the election is about voters and their families, quote, and the kind of country and future you want. Trump's final answer? He wants to make America great again. But he did vow to support the outcome of the election no matter who wins. The second televised presidential debate is scheduled for October 9th. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
The United States has for the first time blacklisted and filed criminal charges against a Chinese company for sending North Korea materials it can use in its nuclear programs. It's a measure that's got the support of Beijing as well, which will reportedly punish its own officials for being in on the scheme. Kwon So-ah has the story.
The United States is getting tougher on North Korea's nuclear ambitions and those who support it. The U.S. Treasury Department has imposed sanctions directly on a Chinese entity, Dandong Hongxiang Industrial Development Company, and 4 of its officials. This following recent revelations that the firm exported materials that can help Pyongyang develop weapons of mass destruction, such as aluminium oxide, which is used in processing nuclear bomb fuel. Also, the Justice Department filed criminal charges against the firm for laundering money to evade U.S. economic sanctions. In an indictment released Monday, a civil forfeiture action has been filed for all the funds contained in 25 bank accounts belonging to the company. It alleges the firm conducted US dollar transactions on behalf of North Korea's Korea Kwangsun Banking Corporation. That bank has been under US sanctions since 2009 for its financing of Pyongyang's weapons program. Back in South Korea, Seoul welcomed Washington's move.
By underlining the danger of conducting transactions with North Korea, the measure will alert third countries and contribute to enforcing the global implementation of the UN Security Council resolution.
Washington's latest measure has been supported by Beijing, which actively investigated the case with the U.S. According to a diplomatic source, China is expected to expand the scope of its disciplinary action to include government officials after the owner of the company, Ma Xiaohong, who is under arrest, confessed that dozens of officials are involved in their business. This comes in the wake of North Korea's fifth nuclear test earlier this month and could have an influence on the sanctions under discussion at the UN Security Council, which has vowed to come up with stronger punitive measures on Pyongyang. 권소아, 아리랑 뉴스.
Another milestone for Arirang TV, we've begun broadcasting on local satellite networks in the UK for the very first time. Our Kwon Jang-ho is in London to witness Arirang's first airing on British soil.
Arirang TV is transmitted to over 100 countries around the world, but now it's taken a new step in the UK by being made available on Britain's local satellite networks. On September 26th, Arirang TV became available in UK households, including Emma Stock's home here in London. Emma, a fashion student, has been an avid fan of Korean culture for a number of years now. She had been watching Arirang online in the past, but now she's excited about the prospect of having it readily available in her living room in full HD.
I think it's really cool because I can see like favourite actors, singers, there's a variety of different shows to watch.
Arirang is now on 2 TV service providers in the UK, Sky and Freesat. Together, they are beamed into more than 6 million households.
I think the excitement's beginning to build. Now people are starting to hear about it, and I think it will be very, very popular on Freesat.
Anticipation is high among those who have already an interest in Korea. This is New Malden, located in the suburbs of London. It's home to some 20,000 Koreans, the largest Korean community in Europe. It also attracts those who have an interest and a connection with Korea and its culture. Among the local Korean restaurants, shops and businesses, I found Sebastian, a linguist who works as a translator in Seoul, and used to watch Arirang TV before moving back to the UK.
I think it's really great that now I can just, it's coming at home, so now I can just go home, turn on the TV, and I can have Arirang right there, like that, and I think it's going to be really good to tell my other friends about it.
But as well as bridging the gap for those who already have connections with Korea, there are high hopes that through informative and entertaining content, Arirang TV will be able to reach a new British audience. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News, London.
Arirang TV has become the first Korean broadcaster to offer a 24-hour service in the UK. At a press conference held at the Korea Press Center in central Seoul, Arirang TV CEO Moon Jae-won introduced the channel's launch on the UK's largest local satellite platform, Sky UK and Freesat. Along with Arirang's efforts to extend the reach of its broadcasts, it'll introduce new programs in September with the new fall season lineup.
This season's program reshuffle is focused on the increase of news hours and depth in preparation of the company's 20th broadcasting anniversary in upcoming February. Also, the Hallyu, the Korean Wave programs were added to increase the growing Hallyu industry.
That includes programs on the latest fashion trends and culture in Korea, as well as current affairs shows inviting prominent experts from a variety of sectors. Starting Tuesday, local time, Arirang News will be aired every 2 hours on weekdays, starting at 6 a.m. and ending with our midnight broadcast. That's all for this hour. Thanks for watching. We'll have more for you on News Center coming up in 2 hours' time. Bye for now.
The ruling Saenuri Party has submitted a formal parliamentary resolution calling for the resignation of Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun. The Saenuri chief on Tuesday lambasted Chung for the controversial remarks he made during a parliamentary session last week about sacking the newly appointed agriculture minister. He also cast doubt on Chung's ability to remain neutral in his post.
This person, Chung Se-kyun, has no intention of keeping his political neutrality as an assembly speaker. The recording has revealed his thinking.
The ruling party chief is referring to an audio recording of a conversation between Chung and a main opposition party lawmaker that was leaked Monday. In the recording, Chung is heard suggesting the ruling party offer a compromise on other controversial bills in exchange for the withdrawal of an opposition-led motion to dismiss the agriculture minister. The political tussle had escalated over the weekend after President Park Geun-hye vetoed the dismissal motion. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea urged the Saenuri chief to end a hunger strike he started Monday and come back to the negotiating table.
Party leaders usually start a dialogue to overcome gridlock, but all the channels for talks have been cut off as the ruling party chief is staging a hunger strike. We urge Chief Lee Jung-hyun to end his hunger strike and work with the opposition to resolve the confrontation.
The minor opposition People's Party echoed the view, adding that a hunger strike is not the right way for a ruling party leader to protest. The rival parties aren't likely to change their positions on the dismissal motion for the agriculture minister anytime soon, meaning the audit deadlock is expected to continue for some time. 지명길, 아리랑 뉴스.
The first parliamentary audit of the 20th National Assembly started Monday with only half the normal turnout. That's because the ruling party refused to attend due to the opposition party's decision last weekend to file a motion for the dismissal of the agriculture minister. Our political correspondent Kim Young-gil reports.
Lawmakers from the ruling Saenuri Party boycotted the first day of the National Assembly's 20-day audit of government ministries and agencies. The Saenuri floor leader says Assembly Speaker Chung Se-kyun's decision last Friday to call a vote on dismissing Kim Jae-soo, President Park's pick for agriculture minister, was politically motivated.
The opposition parties and the Assembly Speaker have been politicizing the dismissal motion against the agriculture minister so they can extend the probing period of a special investigative committee into the Sewol ferry disaster.
Kim, who took office earlier this month, has taken heat from opposition lawmakers over potential ethical lapses, including allegations of suspicious real estate trading and receiving a loan from a bank at an unusually low rate. The ruling party is demanding the Assembly Speaker resign, saying that the dismissal vote for Kim did not follow the rules, and Saenuri Chief Lee Jung-hyun has launched a hunger strike. Assembly Speaker Chung said the vote was legitimate and did follow the rules. The main opposition Minju Party of Korea called on the ruling party to participate in the audit, which involved 12 parliamentary committees.
The ruling party has ridiculed the speaker and boycotted all parliamentary affairs. Abandoning the audit is the same as neglecting our duty to look after the people's livelihoods.
To avoid a deadlock, Chung suggested postponing the audit by 2 to 3 days, but has been met with resistance from the opposition. The ruling party has vowed to continue its boycott, so unless the parties reach some kind of compromise, the opposition will continue to run the show. 지명길, 아리랑 뉴스.